Hello, everybody. All right, so hopefully everybody's having a good week as we're winding down the week, of course. Our last night for the week of news coverage. Tonight, of course, we'll be looking over Indie Comic Showcase from the Bleeding Fool site. Um, Also, usual wrestling wrap up and all that. So, just gonna give people a chance to get in here. So I hope everybody's doing well. Um, So what I'll probably, so tomorrow night, of course, I'll have Rick Piper in as my co-host, and we'll be looking over comics that went on sale from Marvel comics in December 1939, looking over Marvel Mystery Comics Volume 1, Number 4, and Daring Mystery Comics Volume 1, Issue 2. With the features of Namor, Electro, the Marvel of the Age, not the Spider-Man villain. This is a robot hero, actually, robotic hero. Trojak, the Tiger Man, and Laughing Mask. So we'll be, of course, looking at all that tomorrow night. Also, so as I said, tonight we'll be looking at Bleeding Fools um, article, Indie Comic Showcase. Yeah, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on here to enjoy the content. Also, anything that we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So let's see, where are we at on time here? We're coming up on 2.5 minutes. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into it then? I think I'll just go jump right into it here. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get into this then. So here we go. Let's see. As I said, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, let's go ahead and get going here. Indie Comic Showcase number 237, Data Cell, Al Capone Vampire, and Trick of the Light. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday, the 30th. So, Data Cell, Al Capone Vampire, and Trick of the Light. Those sound like some interesting titles. Particularly Al Capone Vampire. I wonder whose imagination that came from. The mixing of the mafiosa and the creatures of the night, as it were. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share a tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. Yeah, getting the word out is just as important, because if people don't know what's going on, then they can't do anything about it, right? They can't back anything if they don't know what to back, right? uh, any Yeah, no comments yet. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's continue on then. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully um, support by backing one or more um, of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. Al Capone, Vampire by J.C. Vaughn. Well defined production. Wow, this one looks pretty interesting. And of course, one of the things I started last week, which I will probably continue to do here, I'm going to put the link in the. Here's the link to this campaign if you guys want to check that out. If you guys want to check that out, you can. That's for this first for J.C. Vaughn's book here, Al Capone Vampire, numbers 1 through 3. So let's take a look at what we got in store here then. And again, if guys can, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So here we go. Chris Braley. Welcome to Indie Comics Showcase, JC. What's your elevator pitch for Al Capone Vampire? JC Vaughn. It's Al Capone. He's back. He's a vampire. And he's decided to take over Chicago once again. Who can stop him? We'll see. The new issue, number 3, is Capone's vampire origin. 48 pages of cover-to-cover action. Chris Braley. Where did the idea for this comic come from? J.C. Vaughn. It's the continuation of my Vampire PA, I guess Pennsylvania, miniseries. The series is crowdfunded in 48 page or more deluxe editions and will hit comic shops in 32 versions starting in October. I love the creativity going on in crowdfunding right now. It's a new golden age. Well, look at these covers here. They're pretty interesting. That cover on the far right there looks kind of like what DC or what DC or Marvel would have done years ago. Chris Braley. What kind of comic readers is this suited for? J.C. Vaughn. Um, Al Capone, Vampire, is aimed at anyone who loves comics and specifically anyone who likes horror, adventure, and has a bit of a sense of humor. So it sounds like something that maybe I've heard Shadowhawk likes like horror stuff, so he might be into this. I try to write a comic that I want to read, which is my usual approach. You kind of wonder if that's a lot of comic creators' approach. Well, yeah, well, some of them take it a little. Some of them, as we know, particularly in the mainstream, as it were, um, take that idea a little too far. Anyways, getting back to the article here, Chris, tell me about your creative process, JC. I've been able to collaborate with artist Brandon Brendan and Brian Frame on a number of projects over many years. I tend to write full scripts and they turn them into magic. The original vampire PA started with one prose short story, and went from there. Unlike a lot of people who can do superhero comics, Brendan and Brian draw fantastic regular people. Oh, look at that! Look at that scene. Al Capone about. Whoa! Look at that! Hey! Whoa! Whoa. Uh, bright and in living color, folks. Dudes do have quite a talented touch, don't they? Tell me about your creative team. Chris asked, tell me about your creative team. JC, Brendan and Brian Frame are regular cover artists on Nights of the Dinner Table, and are the writer artist on the current, starring Sonia Devereaux, the first time as writers. Mindy Lopkin, our letterer, is known for among other things, the She Return of the Warrior series with Billy Tucci. The same is true for editor Jason Oldcap Odom, who also co-edits Billy's projects with me. Chris, how far along is the book? JC, all of the art for the issue is done. Art for the issue is done. Most of the coloring and lettering is done too. We generally don't start crowdfunding until the art is complete. We're really just looking for our backers to help us get it over the finish line. They get a lot of work done, just, oh, that's pretty good. Scuba Dave. Let's see. All right. So anyway, as we continue on here, Chris, what have you been learning from self-publishing through this process? JC Vaughn, to be really straightforward, there is always something more to learn. I've been in the industry for a long time, and this is always true. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? JC, there are definitely more stories. Our next one will be a flip book of Vampire PA, Pennsylvania, and Al Capone Vampire, subtitled Origins. It looks like it'll be 2 issues. The guys already have the first script. Look at that. Wow. Chris Braley. Any special features or special perks on the campaign? JC Vaughn. We've hit some stretch goals and will be offering more. So there are several trading cards. The art coloring and production are done on the first 3. Just sent the fourth one to the colorist and designer. Mini prints coming too. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? JC, I'm blessed to have a full-time job I love in the industry, running the day-to-day for the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. But I love creating comics too, and we're hungry to do even more. This is a great time for creators. So, the next book he featured was Data Cell by Christopher Villanueva. Villanueva. Let's see now. Created by Chris Data Cell. The hero is born. Wouldn't that be lovely to be saved by a girl like that? And then let me just go clip this. And now here is the link to this campaign. I'm going to put up right now. Now this is the link, and it's from Fund My Comics, of course. Data Cell here. This is the Data Cell link. You guys want to go check that out. And for those of you who have if you have a wrench, and you guys want to promote stuff, feel free to share any other links you guys might want. You can always do that here, as long as, of course, you have a wrench. So let's get into this. Chris Braley, welcome to ICS, Christopher. Hit me with the elevator pitch for Data Cell. Chris Villanueva. Data Cell combines traditional superhero elements with RPG and 90s big guns. It tells the story of a fallen cop named Megara Xanatos, who was gunned down in the line of duty and was brain dead. She was frozen for 30 years until she was revived by a secret government organization called USRC, United Science Research Council, and given superpowers by a special serum called Compound S. Armed with an array of unique weapons to fight invading aliens, fierce metahumans, deadly cyborgs, as the dynamic dynamo Data Cell. So it sounds a little bit like he created a book with in which he combined elements of Captain America and RoboCop. That's kind of an interesting combination right there. Captain America and RoboCop here, basically. Can maybe even throw in Wolverine there too. Wolverine and Sabretooth as well. So let's see. What's the origin of this project? Chris Braley asked. Christopher, in 2020, I had COVID for 2 weeks. The second week, I had to stay in the hospital. While resting, I asked a nurse to give me some drawing materials to keep me busy. After a few sketches, an idea popped into my head. I thought of a 90s-inspired female superhero dual-wielding giant guns as she fights off aliens in a near-futuristic city. I've always wanted to draw a piece like that, but I couldn't find the right look. But I had time on my hands, and I got to work. I took a long look at my accomplishments and thought this might work. For the rest of the week, I worked on an origin story for Data Cell. Wow. So Talk about using your time productively, huh? This guy was laid up in the hospital with COVID, and he found a way to be productive while he was laying there getting over it. So I mean, that's pretty. That sounds. I mean, it's not cool that he got sick, obviously, but it's cool that he was able to do something with the time he had. As he was in there recovering. Hmm. Let's see as we continue on here. Chris, who is this comic geared towards? Christopher, people who love classic single issue story comics more than 12-part storylines, people who love character focused stories, no politics at all, and no social agendas, just action packed fights, cool futuristic weapons, and cool superheroes. The comic is rated T plus, ages 13 and up, and despite the main character wielding guns, this is not a violent book. The hero doesn't kill, there's no gratuitous sex or nudity at all, just kissing, and you might see a couple in bed together at most. Now, just so we don't get a bunch of hoots and hollers and all that, my guess is when he's talking about people in bed together, he just simply means that they're actually just lying in bed together. There's nothing going on. There's nothing lewd, lascivious, or insidious going on. So it's just people just simply, you know, lying together, lying to bed together. You might see body forms under a sheet or whatever, but other than that, I don't think, as he said, there's nothing outright gratuitous here in it, is what I think he's saying. Let's see. And as I said, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention, guys. Um, with that, as we, of course, continue on here, Chris Braley then asks, how did you get into making your own comics? Christopher, I started making comics since I was 21. I created two web comics called Victory and the Gingerbread Man Chronicles. Um, Through the years, my skills developed as I worked on them. Without those web comics, I would never be as good as I am today. Um, and I am confident people will like my comic um, when I make a story. I think about what I want to see in a comic. A superhero with a great personality, strong morals, and the desire to try to do the right thing. I want to see a rogues gallery of cool villains with style and a sense of terror and power. Each villain possesses a unique threat to the hero. I want the villains. Well, like classic Silver Age comics, right? Because you guys remember many of the heroes of the Silver Age had, you know, DC and Marvel in particular, but also the heroes of like Charlton. Um, yeah, Charlton was another that had some superhero comics in there too during the Silver Age. Um, that was some cool stuff. Um, each villain poses a. Okay, we read that part. Let's see. I want the villains to give the reader a sense of dread like, can the hero really beat this guy? We all know the hero will win, but it's the in between stuff that's important. Chris, What's your production workflow like? Christopher. Currently, I have 6 books, issues 1 through 6, completed, and the next 5 issues sketched out. So, wow, you got 11 books there. Also, I have issue 0 on datacellhq.cfw.me with extra sketches and more info on the world data cell lives in, available to read for free. Chris, what have you been learning from self-publishing through this? Christopher, um, advertising is hard for me, and I'm not as active on social media as I should. But I'm learning. If I could give any creator any advice, it's while you're working on your comic, go on social media and just find like-minded people to share your interests. Chris Braley, what are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? Christopher, technically, I have at least 100 stories to tell, at least 24 stories fleshed out and read for production. I think he meant to say ready. So there's a little editorial error there. The project took me 3 to 4 years to create. I've been thinking of making an audio drama for YouTube and do it like an old time radio drama. Wow, that sounds interesting. Similar to what we do on Friday nights with the historical comic retrospect. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Christopher, my female superhero is, in parentheses here, using D&D terms, lawful good. She has no emotional or political baggage. Data Cell is relatable, and she'll make you root for her. That's good to hear. Throughout the series, Data Cell will be facing a large variety of villains, cyber gangs, invading aliens. My goal is to build a rogues gallery of villains who will make our hero's life a living hell. All right. Now, before I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. Take care of something real quick. I'll be right back. When I come back, of course, I'll share the link and all that for the project. So let's see. Let me put some music on while I'm gone. All right, I'm back. So, first off, before of course we get started here, let's go ahead and see. So, this one is "Trick of the Light" by Edge of the Blades, Alan Kelly. Yes, and this one looks like another Fun My Comic project. So here's the Fun My Comic link to this one. You guys want to check that out? If you guys want to check that one out, we'll get into Chris's interview here. This one's called "Trick of the Light" by Edge of the Blades, Alan Kelly. So let's get into this. So, Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Alan. How did you end up here? Alan Kelly, no, it's not a comic, but the first music project on raising funds on Fund My Comics. Fund My Comic. My band is Edge of the Blade. The album is 12 tracks of melodic rock mastery from myself and John Francis. So this project's not a comic; it's a album. It's a music album. Okay, that's very interesting. Let's look a little deeper here to see what's going on here. What made you decide to crowdfund this effort? Alan, and Alan answers. The music business has changed with more doors now closed to melodic rock artists rock artists than are being opened. With an ever-growing catalog of songs but limited label options, we have decided to take matters into our own hands, become fully independent, meaning we can now produce and release our music without restrictions, working on our terms, collaborating with the people we want to, overseeing artwork, manufacturing, promotion, and every aspect of this and future albums as they come together. Wow, very interesting. Edge of the Blade, Trick of the Light by Edge of the Blade, Alan Kelly. Chris, what kind of comic or music fans will enjoy this the most? Alan, this project is for everyone. Fans of melodic rock, especially though that love the 80s and 90s sound. And this album is exclusive to crowdfunding platforms. Backers on Fund My Comic also receive an exclusive digital download track. Interesting cover photo there. Chris, give us some background on the band. Alan, the first Edge of the Blade album, The Ghost of Humans, was released in 2015, influenced by the likes of Avenged Sevenfold and Alter Bridge. Yeah, Alter Bridge got some pretty cool stuff. I remember some of their work. The album was very well received by rock fans and reviewers worldwide. Our next release, Feels Like Home, in 2017, would see a welcome return to our combined AOR Roots, a showcase for the band. The passionate and energetic songwriting and powerful soaring vocals drew comparisons to the very best of Journey and Foreigner. Continuing our quest to record the ultimate melodic rock album, 2021 would see the release of Distant Shores, considered a must for fans of the genre. Its third album was a smash hit across Europe. Trick of the Light continues in that tradition, drawing upon our collective experience and history in the music business. Chris, who's in the band? Alan? I play the drums with lead vocalist John Francis and superstar lead guitarist Miguel Angel Lopez. Cover is by S.K. Bennett, who handled artwork on another case for the Littlest Umbrella and Hunt the Littlest Umbrella. So S.K. Bennett, who is the artist for Tug's books, helped with this project as well, with that umbrella guy. Chris, what would you have been learning from self-publishing crowdfunding? What have you been learning from self-publishing crowdfunding and creating through this process? Alan, crowdfunding this, our fourth album, is a big leap of faith. We feel fortunate to have the opportunity to take these next steps directly with fans who have supported us over the years and new listeners alike. So Fund My Comic is doing more than just crowdfunding comics. Well, we know they've also crowdfunded graphic novels too, and maybe some novels. But now they're even crowdfunding music albums. Quite an ambitious task there, Mr. Stone. I would say quite ambitious. Let's see. Let's see. Where are we at? The album is fully complete, mixed, and mastered. We are ready to deliver as soon as the campaign ends. A follow-up album, Now and Forever, is currently being mixed, and we have just completed title track for an upcoming video game called Go For It, as well as writing and recording more new material for future projects. Chris, what else would you like to share with our readers before we sign off? Alan, thanks for reading, and please consider supporting Trick of the Light. Um, we are sure you'll love it. And Chris responds, thanks, Alan. Good luck. So, that's it for this installment. Um, if you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here and follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics. Indie lower slash comments. And reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. Alrighty then. Yeah, that last project there sounds very ambitious. So, Fund My Comics is even getting into music producing. Huh. Let's see what we have here. There we are. Hail Lord Xenu. I missed first half. Yeah, you pretty much missed the article. That ancient Canadian bull. Okay. That quote, our band is a smash hit in Europe. Haven't heard that blatant lie in years. Where, where is Europe anyway? I think about it, and the band they hit in Denmark, Scotland, Portugal, Serbia. I don't believe it. Hmm. So, anyways, we pretty much have got through the one article we're going to do tonight. So now we're going to get into the wrestling wrap up. Actually, before we do though, let me just go back real quick. Of course, if you can like and share the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. Let me just go back real quick to my previous things here, and so this is the link to the first comic we first comic from the article there. First project that was reviewed there. Here's the second one. So the first link there was from Al Capone Vampire. The second one is Data Cell, and then the last one is for the music project. They're gonna probably be a music project from Edge of the Night there, or Edge of the Blade rather. The song is called "Trick of the Light," of course. All right, so here are the links to the projects that we went over tonight from Bleeding Full article. That one's from Al Capone Vampire. All right. That one's from Data Cell. And this one's from the Music Project, which I say is a very is a pretty it's kind of ambitious for not just people who are actually crowdfunding this, but also for Fund My Comic to also to not just be promoting comic books and graphic novels and books and all that, but also be crowdfunding music albums. It's quite an ambitious project there. All right, so with that, let me go over the as I said, we're now done with that part of it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, of course, go over some wrestling, the wrestling wrap up here. Now, of course, WWE has Payback this coming Sunday, or this Saturday rather. It sounds like Payback pay-per-views coming up this Saturday, November the 2nd, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from the PPG Paints Arena. The main event has Seth Rollins defending the world heavyweight, the WWE World Heavyweight title against Shinsuke Nakamura. Rhea Ripley defends the women's world title against Raquel Rodriguez. Trish Stratus will be taking on Becky Lynch in a steel cage match. This is going to be said to finish off their feud, as they're looking to possibly have after this feud is over, maybe having Becky challenge Tiffany Stratton on NXT for the NXT Women's Championship. Rey Mysterio defends the United States title against Austin Theory. The Miz will be taking on LA Knight, and to open up the show for the WWE Raw and SmackDown Tag Team titles in a Steel City Street fight, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be defending against the Judgment Day members of Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Well, that's what's coming up for. That's what's coming up for. That's what's coming up for WWE this weekend. And of course, AEW has their All Out pay-per-view coming up this Sunday, the 3rd. Of course, on last night's Dynamite, in the setting things up for this weekend, saw the opening match had Jon Moxley defeat Commander in preparation for his upcoming title shot at All Out against international AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy. Eddie Kingston successfully defended the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight title against Wheeler Yuta. In a six-woman tag team match, Dr. Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and TBS champion Chris Statlander defeated the team of Emi Sakura, Marina Shafir, and Nyla Rose. The main event saw Orange Cassidy defend and retain the international title against Penta El Zero Miedo. Now, after the match, Orange had in one of the rare occasions where he'll actually talk, out in the ring, he cut a pretty scathing promo and which led to Moxley coming out and the two of them getting in each other's face for the upcoming pay-per-view this Sunday. And we'll get to that card in a moment. Of course, some other news going on in AEW. Like right now, CM Punk and Jack Perry have been suspended for their altercation that happened after All In on Sunday. There's some conflicting reports as to a conversation he may or may not have had with Miro. Some people are saying that they were just kidding around. Other people are saying it's serious. So, again, it just goes into the idea of just how much more longer Tony Khan really going to put up with Punk's shenanigans before he just says, some dude, you're done here. We're done with this. It's kind of like, as Eric Bischoff put it, it's kind of like the inmates are running the asylum, as it were. Now, of course, AEW does have a packed weekend here. On Friday, they have they taped it yesterday, of course. On Friday, they'll have a number one contenders battle royal for the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Also have the team of Gringo Loco and Kip Sabian to take on El Hijo del Vikingo and Nick Wayne. Hangman Adam Page of the Elite will be taking on Brian Keith. And then in a women's tag team match, Anna Jay and Taya Valkyrie take on Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. And then on Collision on Saturday, on Saturday's edition of Collision, you will have another 6-woman tag match. TBS champion Chris Statlander will be teaming with Dr. Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida versus all three members of the Outcast of AEW World Women's title holder Saraya. Ruby Soho, who will be challenging Chris Statlander for the TBS title this Sunday at All Out, and then Tony Storm. Dax Harwood will be taking on Jay White, and then in a World Trios, in a AEW World Trios title match, the Acclaimed of Anthony Bowens and Max Caster with Billy Gunn, the current champions, will be defending against three former members of the Jericho Appreciation Society: Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. Which will then, of course, will lead into this Sunday's all-out event from Chicago. Which we'll see in the main event. Luchasaurus defends the TNT title against three-time champion Darby Allin. Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs will be taking each other on. As I previously mentioned, Chris Statlander will be defending TBS title against Ruby Soho. Orange Cassidy defends the international title against Jon Moxley. Kenny Omega will be going one-on-one with Konosuke Takeshita, who will have Don Callis in his corner. An 8-man tag match. FTR, AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR, and Young Bucks will be taking on all four members of Bullet Club Gold of the Gun Club, Austin and Colton Gunn, Juice Robinson and Jay White. Eddie Kingston teams with New Japan Strong Openweight champion Eddie Kingston teams with Ring of Honor Pure champion Katsuyori Shibata to take on the Blackpool Combat Club members of Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta in a match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Better Than You, Baby of Adam Cole and MJF, who is also the current AEW World Champion, will be taking on the Dark Order, the members of Alex Reynolds and John Silver. In the opening match of the night, Samoa Joe defends the Ring of Honor World Television title against Shane Taylor. So, granted, not a lot of build-up for, considering it was, having two pay-per-views in a row can be rough. I mean, Impact just did it as well, but that can be rough because how do you promote the shows? It's like, how do you focus on promoting the shows? So now moving on to some, of course, Ring of Honor news here. On tonight's Ring of Honor Club on Ring of Honor Wrestling.com. There it is. Card tonight for there is that came from the Rupp Arena. Let's see. The main event will see the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona, with Prince Nana Court defending the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag titles against Action Andretti, Darius Martin, Lee Johnson. In another six-man match, Lee Moriarty and the Workhorsemen, J.D. Drake and Anthony Henry, will be taking on Gnarls Garvin, Invictus Cash, and Lord Crew. The Outrunners take on the Spanish Announce team in a tag team match. Let's see. Cole Carter with Maria Kanellis Bennett in his corner will be taking on Dustin Jackson. Zack Sabre Jr. will be defending the New Japan World Television title against Vitalik. Marina Shafir takes on Angela Risk. Josh Walters takes on Josh Woods. And the opening match of the evening will be Emi Sakura taking on Alice Crowley. And on tonight's Impact, as Impact is heading in, this is episode 998, So a couple weeks, they'll have their 1,000th episode, as well as Victory Road, recorded at the Rebel Entertainment Complex. On tonight's episode, the main event will see Crazy Steve taking on former X Division champion Mike Bailey. Eric Young will be taking on Khan once again. In a number one contender 10 knockout battle royal. So there will be a 10 knockout battle royal for the number one contendership of the Impact Knockout World title. This will, of course, be used to determine who will next challenge Trinity. For the participants include Alicia Edwards, Jessica and Courtney Rush of the Death Dolls, Giselle Shaw, Samantha Evans, both members of the current Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, MK Ultra, Jody Threat, Kylan King, and Vanna Black. And then in the opening match of the evening will be a 6-man tag team match. Frankie Kazarian, Jake Something, and IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Sonata to take on Eddie Edwards and the most professional wrestling gods of Moose and Brian Myers. So there you have that as they continue to work towards that. So with that, now we have that all taken care of, as it were. So now let's take a look. Today being August 31st, 2023. Let's take a look back at this day in Niche history. History! All right, so first up, we head back 30 years ago today, as on this date, 30 years ago today, the 85th issue of Jughead Jones Digest magazine went on sale on this date back in 1993, 30 years ago today. Sold for $1.50, 96 pages. $1.50 for 96 pages of content. That sounds like a pretty good deal. $1.50, so that'd be 150 cents. 150 divided by 96. 625. So let's see, 150 cents. So about a cent and a half per page. A little over a cent and a half per page. So on this date, 30 years ago today, the 85th issue of Jughead Jones Digest magazine went on sale on this date back in 1993. So moving on to the next piece of niche history, as it were. On this date in 1998, 25 years ago today, WCW held its Monday Nitro event in the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida. It was the night after SummerSlam. It's kind of funny. WWE had its SummerSlam event the night before, and they didn't have an episode of Raw. So Nitro got to pick up a lot of the afterflow from that. You know, maybe not. The main event saw Sting and Luger defeat, at the time, WCW United States Champion Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan in a tag team match. Bill Goldberg, the WCW World Champion, defeated Al Green. Chris Jericho defeated, who was a WCW Television Champion. Chris Jericho defeated Disco Inferno. And Juventud Guerrera, who was the Cruiserweight Champion, defeated Evan Courageous. And pretty much those are like the big matches, I would say. On this date, 30 years ago today, 25 years ago today, rather, WCW had its Monday Nitro event from from the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida. And 1998 is just so nice that we're going to hit it twice. And also on this date in 1998, Hercules, the animated adventure, simply called Disney's Hercules, the animated adventure, simply titled Hercules, premiered in syndication on this date 25 years ago today. On this date 25 years ago today, Disney's the Hercules the animated series, simply called Hercules for the most part, premiered in syndication on this date 25 years ago today. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Hope everybody enjoyed the content. Of course, we'll be back here tomorrow night. We'll have Rick Piper from Cross Comics with me, as we will be looking at comics that went on sale back in December of 1939 from time known as Timely Comics at the time. We know it today as Marvel. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.